Wait, did you? Oh, yeah. Okay, wait. There you are.
I did
All
this.
right. Look, it's like the gang's back. Technical issues and all. It wouldn't be the same if it wasn't that.
I don't know how I forgot that was like the thing. Like I got on here and I was like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like,
Oh yeah, we
right,
suck at technology.
The TikTok thing. I know. How's it going, guys? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
It's
Happy Wednesday.
Murph. I mean, Rob. Murph, it's so good to see you.
Thanks. It's good to be here. Thank you. Yeah, before we kick off real quick, because I think we're streaming on both.
We're live. Right? Yep, we're live. Live and ready to go.
I'll probably share this again after we start rolling on the actual show. But I just want to say thank you to everybody that has that knows what's going on with my family and all the things that we've had happening in the past couple months. And so thank you for all your prayers and support. These platforms are not private, and so we want to not talk about stuff here, private type stuff. So if you guys have any questions or concerns or comments or accusations of heresy, feel free to leave me a message. That one. Yeah, especially that one. Shoot me a DM or something, and I'd love to talk to you about it, privately. But it's hard when I think, when you're running a show and doing things. But we've gone through something extremely just out of the blue, somewhat tragic, just a really bad, just a shitty thing. And but we're doing good. We're all doing really, really good, and we're bouncing back. And so I just want to say thank you guys for being discreet and just being respectful of my family and us. And thanks for showing up every week, even though it was only Rob and Shea.
I know. I don't know how we kept the engine running, honestly. People were just trying to be nice.
Yeah. They were polite. I guess I'll like it a couple times. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So what's going on with you guys? Hey, Mary.
Well, I know Mary said that she loves you, Murph.
Love you too. Can I get a heart hand over?
Yeah, come on, Rob. Hit us with one. We haven't gotten one in a minute.
Should be doing it over here. I'm using my phone.
Oh, no.
Not good.
Build the juju up again.
Well, maybe just as a little recap, this is the waiting table. If you're new here, welcome. If you're old here, welcome. We love to see everybody. All three of us have had weight loss surgery, and we share our stories. We talk about that on the show. And this first part is all about non-scale victories. And so we want to hear those from you guys. Even if you haven't had weight loss surgery, still share them with us. We know that paying attention to the scale, it can often be a really big part of the journey. But there's so many other benefits that come with living a healthier lifestyle. And so we like to try to celebrate that. So feel free in the comments on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're at. Tell us your non-scale victories. And then this later half of the show is when we usually bring a guest on. And tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Ana, and we're talking a lot about mental health. She's a mental health professional. She's had weight loss surgery herself. So it's going to be a really good show. And of course, in between that, we have sexy time music, which really just gives us a bathroom break because we are bariatric patients and we need that. So that's a little bit of how we run the show. Did I miss anything?
Sexy time music is very sexy.
Creed. Sexy. I mean, once in a while we'll throw in some Creed references.
Creed.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean, we try to make it more often than not. I mean, if I had my way.
All Creed all day.
Creedioki. I think that's what we're going to have to start the new year with. I'm going to have to start. Maybe I'll do, maybe in the new year, we'll do Creed, not Creedioki again, because we've already done that, but maybe like some Creed, what is it called why am I blanking? Like facts?
The Creedopoly or Creed, Creed
trivia. I don't know why. My brain was like trivia. Having a fart. Yeah. Just some like good old fashioned Creed trivia,
Yeah.
So like I'll be looking into that. So, well, guys, while we're getting non-scale victories, I have one that I thought I'm going to just bring up here. Sorry if you guys are on TikTok, you won't get to see this. Oh, you can't really see it on here
Oh, you can't see it
Oh, look at that.
Wait,
anyways.
see if I can move
Oh,
things
I know what you're
around.
doing. You're gonna put it. Oh no.
Nope.
That was all the important. All the important.
Nope, never
Hey,
mind.
there it is.
Well, that didn't work. Here, let me
I think
try.
it only works if you do as an overlay.
Yeah, I'll do it as an overlay. I
Womp
thought it would be a
womp.
cool background to have, but
Yeah,
here, we'll
right.
do that.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, look at this guy, schmuck.
Dude, you look like Hulk or something.
I
You're like
told
The
him, I'm
Rock.
like, hey, how about you make me look bigger and more conditioned than I was at the show, if at all possible. He's like, okay, cool. So yeah, thank you for making me look better than I looked in person.
I liked it.
You look
was
great.
fun.
That's
Thank
funny.
you.
That's cool.
Well, any non-scale victories for you guys?
I'm trying to think. Like this is a bit like I find like Christmas time's just so busy that
Mhm.
it's hard to stop and just think about. Oh, you know what? Okay, there is a non-scale victory, a couple non-scale victories. So this week I have been guests on a couple podcasts. One is Age is Just a Number, which is run by a gentleman that I met at one of the UFE events, the World Championships. Actually, he competed there,
Oh, so
and
cool.
oh yeah, it was great. And he wanted to talk about my story and sort of the changes I went through, to the point where it's competing in bodybuilding competitions. And he likes to talk about specifically the mindset towards health, especially in relation to age. So he's really looking at people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and how to maintain their health and get their health back. And so it was great to do that. I was on Kim, Active Bariatrics podcast today, talking sort of about the whole diet part, as well as what bodybuilding or leading up to bodybuilding competitions was like, and sort of the different changes I had to do, which was amazing because Kim and I are both nerds and we like to go over studies and data and all this stuff and sort of like share notes about it, which was a lot of that. And then yesterday, one of the main sponsors actually here I have one right here, Amino Balls, one of the main sponsors to Radical Body Transformation, they asked me if I would consider modeling for them, because they
Which
had
means
all
like
these.
you were knocking down on their door saying, please,
Yeah, I'm
can
like,
I
hey,
be a model?
hey. I was just like in the window. I was like, I
Just
saw
like,
it in an ad,
let
and
me
I was just
in.
like, guys, can I come or what? And so yeah, they're doing a whole bunch. They had like, oh yeah, we have clothes that we're doing. I'm like, oh cool, whatever. If you want me to come. So then I did some stuff with them. No pants, just a shirt, which is great. And
How everyone likes it. Hashtag them thighs.
Exactly. And it was awesome because afterwards I had asked her, I'm just like, oh, so what are you going to do with these pictures? Like, is this just going to be in like some ads or whatever? Or, your main couple Facebook posts? She's like, no, this is going to be on our website. Like, these are going to be the pictures
It's going to be
on
our
our
billboard.
website. This is like, we're going to have a billboard of you. And I was like, wow, this is weird. But thank you. That was great. And it was a great experience. It was awesome to sort of see what that's like. They did a lot of adjusting of my pants, and I had they pulled my pants up really high so it wasn't loose. I'm like a teenager wearing my pants really that low. But I was just like, I've never worn my pants this high, and
you're like
butt...
Abercrombie and Fitch model.
Yeah. But I was like, hey, the butt looks like it's supposed to, I guess. It's it's like they painted on my pants. It was really tight in the back. But no, it was a really cool experience, and just for me personally, it's an honor to be working with a company that really stands behind transformation divisions and people trying to change their lives. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Very cool, man.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Well, I was gonna say, feel free, guys, put your non-scale victories in and we'll read them just because it's pretty fun. Gosh, let's see. Murph, do you have one at all, or do you need more time to think?
I was gonna say, are there any in Instagram, because I can't see Instagram. I know Mary over here on TikTok said she's back at the gym consistently, and she's still feeling strong. And yeah, I know Mary is usually living at the gym, and And so apparently she's back at the gym. So she left for a couple hours and then went back, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but good for her.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one. And feel free, you guys, keep sharing them. But and I feel like it's fitting because we're talking about mental health tonight. A non-scale victory for me is I feel like I've been able to recover a lot quicker from triggers this year. So
Mm.
holidays always hold a lot of triggers for me, just of like
Mm.
past things that I've been through. And it'll be like the most random things, or sometimes it'll feel very random, but like even Dylan and I, we put up all of like our Christmas decorations. And from doing that, like it just triggered me. Like I got very overwhelmed. It felt I started to get kind of panicky. It was just kind of a lot and overstimulating. And in the past, it would have taken so much longer to recover because for one, I wouldn't have known what was happening. I wouldn't have known like ways to cope, or I would have coped in doing things that didn't help me feel good in the long run. And so that's been cool to see where like I have had a couple of triggers with the holiday season, but I just feel like I'm able to cope a lot quicker. So it's like I'll go on a walk, or I'll read for a little bit. I'll take a couple of deep breaths. It's just a lot easier to kind of recover. So like getting triggered doesn't ruin my whole day like it used to. It's just like I'm able to recover, move forward and onward. And so that's felt really nice. So if you guys have been having a hard time for the holidays, you're not alone. It's just a weird time sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find the holidays really difficult for me. Every year since my mom passed away, it was always difficult because it was at the beginning of December. And so you're trying to deal with all that, and it's supposed to be a super happy time. And then, so I find that it's always been since she has passed, it's been very difficult. And it just put that on top of the fact that nothing slows down. Everything just gets a lot faster and busier during Christmas time. That, it definitely is easy to get overwhelmed for sure.
Yeah, with it being Christmas, I so much has gone on recently. I kind of forgot Christmas was coming, so I've not been able to stress, I guess, about Christmas and planning and all that stuff. A lot of the things that are going on right now, that's what we've been focusing a lot of our attention on. And I was talking to my neighbor the other day. He stopped by just to check in and help me with something. And I told him, if this stuff all happened on top of the already stressful stuff, our heat, fridge, and stove all went out within a 6 or 7 days time period. And I just kind of laughed at it. I mean, like, what can you do? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it is what it is. That's life. And I've never really had that kind of experience before in my mind where I could just like, yep, that happens, and like,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. And so we borrowed some heaters and we got some, a new fridge and made the arrangements and did what we had to do. But I told my neighbor, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have reacted so much differently to all of this. Like I would have just been, just flying off the handle at everything. My kids would have, like been hiding from me or something. I don't know. Like I was just, God, like I mean, I wasn't like a bad person, but I wasn't who I am today. Like I'm so much happier in these moments. Not when these bad things happen, but just, the perspective, the being able to look back and just, when I've been through that stuff, this is nothing, so the mindset has definitely been a huge non-scale victory. Very much so.
The word I use a lot is like feeling more regulated or knowing how to get back to regulation quicker, right? Because even when bad things are happening and it's a lot to sort through, like it can still feel like your world is falling apart. And it's like there's, for me at least, this like more of like a hopeful, it's like I know I can get through it and it'll be okay, even if it doesn't feel okay right now. And before I just felt like it was hopeless, like, Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time, or a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, when we worry, it just doesn't add a single minute to our day. You
No.
know, it doesn't help. It doesn't benefit. You just got to hunker down and just kind of push through. And easier said than done in most
Hmm.
situations. But you know, keeping a level head is beneficial for yourself and everyone around you. You know, and just thinking, what are we gonna do? You know.
Yeah. So
So
I think you should wrap up your refrigerator and put a bow on it and then say from Santa, that'll be the Christmas present in your
the
oven, and
fridge
just
and the
make a
stove and yeah,
All of
for
it.
real. Our new thermostat for our heater. Yeah.
just wrap up all of those things.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and I haven't shared that. I think Rob had we talked yesterday, Shea and Rob and I didn't share this with Rob. I actually lost my job this week. And hey, it's like, you know, they'll replace me in you know, by tomorrow, or if they haven't already, and I'll get a new job, and it's all gravy. Like everything's good. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I had to take a lot of time off for work, and apparently it was too much. So
My vote
it
is still a bookstore. Just
yeah,
so like
yeah. Shay was saying I should work at a bookstore.
I just feel like your aesthetic even matches. Like you could get like cool sweaters to wear in the bookstore.
But I don't know how to read. So
No, but
you know,
that's
That's the hard
okay.
part.
it'd be like
Do you
Not a
people be like,
prerequisite.
Do you think
what do you recommend? And I'll be like, the one with the crayons, and then
Yeah.
you
yeah,
just
but see, that's how
stay
you can
inside the
like troll
lines.
people almost. Like
Oh yeah,
you could just be like, oh, this one was so good. It like just the main and just use very ambiguous word, like the
Yeah.
main character in it. Like I
Yeah.
think you'll
Whoa.
really relate to it, and it's like a
Yeah.
murder or something. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you just troll people. You own it. You already
Yeah.
have a lot of sweaters that would match the
The
aesthetic.
sweaters are key.
I
yeah.
think so. And
I've
you
got a
have a
few.
Hallmark movie in the making. So
Yeah.
that's still my vote, you know.
Yeah. No, I dig
like
it.
it.
I dig
I like
it.
it.
Yeah. I'm
Taking
not
back,
gonna lie.
Haley had asked, how did you guys get to the mindsets you put yourselves in now? That's a big question.
Lots of crying.
I had a glass of wine when I found out I lost my job.
No,
Just sat there and stared for about 20 minutes, like, whoa.
yeah.
And then you move on.
Well, I think that's a big part of it. Like, I think one of the biggest things about sort of your mindset is everything is constantly changing. And
Mhm.
I think the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest things that I've gained from this whole journey is understanding yourself, right?
Mhm.
If that's how you need to cope, that's okay, right?
Mhm.
We all cope in different ways.
Just being honest about it.
Being honest
Yeah.
about it and allowing yourself to do that. And then knowing, okay, I did it. Let's move on. Because you're right. Like Murph, like you can't sit and worry about it because it's not adding anything, right? It's making you less efficient with all these things.
Yeah.
Now that can't stop you from doing it. We're all going to worry about stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like there's always things, always stressors, the things that are going to be issues. But it comes back to the question always, like, how is this serving you?
Mhm.
Right? Is it helping?
Yeah.
No.
And
Then what do you do, right?
yeah, and I think we'll talk a lot about that tonight with Anna. You know, processing traumas or you know, negative things that happen in your life. You know, some things. You know, I was kind of expecting the letter home from my work. You know, like I was surprised it didn't come sooner, and it was just like you know, I felt like it was going to come, and it did, and it was just like, okay, I just needed 20 minutes to process. You know what I mean? And processing that versus processing some of the other things that we've been going through.
Sure.
You know, which take weeks, you know, sometimes, you know, years. If you lose a loved one, you know, my aunt will have passed away, it'll be 10 years. And I feel like sometimes I'm still processing that, you know, it's been 10 years and it's like, I still don't believe it. I still, you know, but to sit and just wallow in that, like you're going to be able to do something, like you're going to solve it or fix it or like bring somebody back or, you know, do something different. That's you're just burning a lot of time and energy. You know, try to resolve it. You know, what can you do if there's nothing that you can do in that situation? I mean, how many times have we gone, we wanted to go somewhere and then we get a flat tire? You know what I mean? You get out, you fix the tire, and then you continue with the vacation, or you continue going to the store, you continue doing that thing, you know what I mean? And then eventually you'll need to replace the spare, but we got to go do that thing first, and and then come back to it.
And sometimes that fix it thing, right, is sometimes just acknowledging like this really sucks. There is no fixing it. And I'm just really sad and angry or upset, whatever the emotion is. And just being like, yeah, that is what it is.
Yep.
And that's the fix it sometimes too, is just acknowledging that.
I like to cry it out, of course.
Of course.
Get a good cry, get a good cry going, and just muster up a few tears and just feel the feelings, let it hit you. And then,
honestly, though, like I know we say it as like a joke, but like our bodies need to process things out, in physical ways. And sometimes that's crying, sometimes that's, running, moving, doing different things. So there's like reasons why that we need to do that.
Did you know you can analyze tears? Each tear, tears can be analyzed.
Here's your new job right here, a tear analyst.
I'll be a tear analyst. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Real men cry. No, like if you can take a tear and examine it and find out what emotion triggered the tear.
No way, really?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
I've never heard of that. That's so fascinating.
I'm a professional at crying, and so I know these things.
Yeah. No, that is so cool. I look into that. That's interesting.
I hope we answered her question.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about it too.
Yeah,
whoever that was.
Haley, there is one other thing I would also consider is just like in regards to, I think like everything else, like there's practice involved, right? Like it's hard to change the way our minds work, right? We've had years and years and years thinking that specific way, but it's not, nothing changes without us putting effort towards it. We didn't lose weight just because of the surgery, is because of the effort we put towards watching our diet and exercising, if that was the case, right? And so I think there is going to be a certain level of practicing, and in regards to mindset, again, we always focus on negative, right? We're always reactionary. We always focus on negative. It's not that hard to just step back and look at that situation and be like, conceptually, I could look at that from a different point of view, and it could all of a sudden be a bit positive, right? I can look at all the bad stuff that's coming, or I can look at some of the things that we are getting from it. And I do find that for me personally, it was really important to practice looking at the positive parts as opposed to the bad things in the situation. That really has helped me with changing my mindset. But it is hard.
I like it.
Thanks.
We did get an NSV. Jamie, we're not ignoring you. I did see it. And so I wanted to share it. So Jamie said, I was asked by a major professional organization in pharmacy to be faculty and teachers and teach other pharmacy technicians continuing education, which I develop. Gosh, sorry, that was such a mouthful for me. I
struggled on that one.
I really did. I need you to teach me English, please.
Yeah. Ask Murph. He knows how to read.
Congratulations on
that's
that.
Awesome.
That's
congratulations.
Yeah, good job. That's cool. That's cool.
That is awesome. I'm trying to see something here. So right? No, that is awesome, actually. I feel like, and you want to talk about mindset, I think Jamie is a really good person to look at in regards to mindset, because, all of us have setbacks. Jamie has had setbacks that she's been very honest about. But I feel like regardless of the setbacks that you talk about, there's always positive posts or things that have come up, that like different achievements. And I know personally, when things are going bad and you're down the dumps, it's very hard to achieve things. It's hard to have all these other things coming up and you able to progress like that. So really, really awesome job, Jamie, in regards to doing that.
I thought you were going to hit him with every setback leads to a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
It's dramatic.
That's where I thought you were heading.
You should next time.
Well, I'm so excited to have Ana on. She's amazing. And I don't know if you guys or people who are watching have seen her stories, but she's like super inspiring with like her lifting weights and working out. I love seeing her videos. Rob, what are you eating? That is very loud.
Sorry, I didn't notice that the mic was right in front of me.
You're giving us some like unwanted ASMR right now.
Yeah,
or maybe it's wanted. I don't know.
I was liking it.
Yeah. Wait till I bite, guys. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How does it taste?
It tastes good. This one is peanut butter chocolate.
I want to hear you bite into it.
Yeah, get real close to the mic. You've gotten us this far.
Yeah.
Yum. That's the sound it makes when you bite. It says yum.
That sounded disgusting. I don't think I'm gonna buy those. You did not sell me. You did not sell me on those.
I didn't tell that.
Yum. Well, I don't know what I was saying.
You were saying you were super excited about this because Ana has been doing some amazing things.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to go to next. That was all I really had to say.
Yum.
Yum.
Yum. Yum. I've got my PB&J over here. Let me see what that sounds like. Yum.
Yum.
You're ready for mine? Ready?
Wow. Yeah.
Delicious. All that to say, join us in a couple minutes once we start.
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, not TikTok, but all the other places you guys can join us. But first, sexy time music. Yum. 3, 2.
'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yeah, lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all, to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no better one. Yeah, susceptible now, before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell your good night, 'cause I'll find no better one. Ooh, susceptible now, before the moment flies. It's not a problem, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yeah, nothing can stop me, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Susceptible now, before the moment flies. In this moment, I cannot say what's wrong or right. It's not hard to fool me, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yeah, lead the way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now, babe. I follow to the edge of it all, to the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible now, before.
What's up, guys? This is Rob, and I got them thighs.
Hey, this is Murph, and real men cry.
What's up, guys? It's Shea. I'm the girl, and welcome to the Waiting Table Podcast. What's up, guys?
Yay!
How's it going? Long time no see. Everyone's bathroom break went okay.
Yeah.
We're feeling good. You're
We're gonna
doing
come out all right.
Everything. I feel like it came out all right. Thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. That was my fault, guys.
I got a really good video of you vibing hardcore. It was
Good.
I'll share it after. It was pretty
So
pretty
good. I was doing a
delightful.
Stevie Wonder, and
I know you were just
everything.
like,
It was good.
I was like trying to chat, like in the private chat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still vibing. I'm like, I don't want to break the flow, you know?
Nope. Can't break the flow. I can't read chat when I'm dancing, guys. Don't chat with me while I'm dancing. Never interrupt the guy when he's vibing. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table Podcast, where we have roundtable discussions about the hottest topics in weight loss with, of course, the coolest people from the bariatric community. I'm Rob. We got Shea and we got Murph.
Hey.
And of course, we have you guys. So grab a chair, wind down from your busy day, and take a seat at the table. Murph, how's it going, buddy? Good to have you back.
Good to be back. Thank you. Man, super excited to be here. Just wanted to take a minute before we get our guest on to just say thank you to everybody who has been praying for us and supporting us. We recently had a bit of a situation at Murphy Manor. And some people know because we follow them. They follow us on other platforms, Facebook and things like that. But this is not private, so we're not sharing a whole lot of that information here. So thank you guys for being discreet and respecting our privacy. And maybe someday we'll be able to share everything. But for now, we just felt like it was time for me to take a break and just focus on family stuff for a little bit. And so just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and you guys, Rob and Shea, for doing the show, and thanks to everyone for putting up with Rob and Shea for the past few weeks, and still showing up. That's what I was afraid of. I felt like there would be no show to come back to, but hey, we're here.
Truly, I mean, it was getting close any longer, and
we had a meeting, and we're just
close.
like,
no, we need you, buddy. We're so happy to have you here.
Good to be back.
And I would like to say I didn't mean to ruin the moment, but did you see me spill my water when you were talking?
Just now?
Yes, you did.
I heard a lot of
I'm really into the ASMR thing.
The
I want
king of ASMR tonight.
Yeah. That's the theme. But yeah, it all spilled all over here. I'm like, whoa, it looks like I'm really trying to grease up here.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to find a napkin to.
All right, Diddy, slow down.
Oh gosh. Oh, Jamie said it was brutal without you here, Murph. We need you here.
Sorry. I'll try not to do that again.
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of brutal, mental health, man, can be brutal. Do you guys like that segue? That was good, right?
I was like, wow, this is the worst intro to a guest ever. Speaking of brutal,
I was like, what does she know about Anna that we don't know?
Yeah, I'm just like,
Anna is the opposite of
brutal.
Trying to find the mute button.
No, I see it now. I see where you're going with that.
Mental health can be brutal.
Yeah.
It's not just about losing weight, especially when you've had weight loss surgery. There's mental and emotional struggles that many of us have gone through. And I think it's a perfect segue into the not brutal, the amazing and wonderful Anna, who is our guest. She's had weight loss surgery. She is a mental health professional, and we are so excited to welcome her. Rob, will you usher her into our room, please?
I will. Welcome, Anna.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
How's it going?
How are you?
Hello, all the way from Guatemala.
Yes. I saw that. I saw your story. I'm like, hey, all right.
We're going global here. Well, I guess we already were with you, Rob. You're our Canadian brethren, but
yep.
How's it going? It's good to see you.
Good. Happy to be here with you guys.
Yes. So can you tell us first why you're in Guatemala? Because you normally don't live in Guatemala.
No, I do not. I live in, shithole Jersey, but I'm in Guatemala. I'm in Guatemala because my husband is Guatemalan. His parents retired a few years back, moved back here. And I hadn't been since 2019. So I came to visit, and he's lucky. He gets to work from home for an entire month with his company. So he was already here. So I came for like 9 days. He'll still be here, and then he'll be home in time for Christmas. So enjoying the nice weather while I can.
Yes, that sounds amazing. Well, good. Well, I have to tell you, we have so many people who are here from the bariatric retreats, and we came to support our girl Anna, and they're all giving you shout outs and saying that they love you. And so
they're the best.
Lots of people here sharing lots of love. But those that don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your story, weight loss surgery? Just kind of give us a little bit of a clear picture of your story.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I'm 32. I live in New Jersey. I'm a licensed associate counselor. So I am a therapist. Well, as far as weight loss, like I think most of us here, I've struggled with my weight most of my life. Um, I think it was like back in 2018 or 2019 that I actually had found Des on Instagram, and I saw that she had had surgery and how successful her journey had been. And that was kind of like the seeds that planted in my brain that I was like, maybe this is an option for me. Because my whole life, like anytime I would lose a significant amount, like if I lost 40, I'd gain back 60. If I lost 60, I would gain back 80. And it wasn't all at once. When I was in college, at some point in grad school, I was never sick. I never went to the doctor. I never got blood work done. So for a long time, I had hypothyroidism, and it was undiagnosed. Um, and I just figured, oh, I'm gaining weight because I'm in grad school. I'm like drinking Starbucks all the time. I have like a shitty diet. But it was all of that plus, my thyroid not really working. And, over time, I just gained and gained and gained. I started CrossFit in July of 2020, hoping that that would be something that I could commit to because I would go to the gym. There were times that I would like drive to the gym. I would be in front of Crunch and I would never make it inside, just having that gym anxiety. So I was like, let me try this out. So I tried out CrossFit. I loved it. I had, lost some weight. And then with time, shit hits the fan. Something happens in your life where you just, neglect yourself. Kind of going into my family's mental health. So when I was a senior in college, my dad actually, trigger warning for anyone listening, suicide topic. My dad tried to kill himself. And that was like a huge shock to, my family. And being a student studying psychology at the time, that hit hard because I'm like, I saw signs, but he went to a psychiatrist. And if the psychiatrist sent him home, who am I to say he needs to be hospitalized? The specialist, the doctor said he can come home, So that took a toll on my mental health. And like every other time in my life, I turned to food to cope. So that was kind of like one of the big things that happened in my life where like I started to gain even more weight. And being the daughter of immigrants, being an only daughter, you're kind of like doing a lot for your family because, you're constantly translating, you're being the adult, even as a child. So it's like during that whole process, like I'm trying to be there for my dad and for my mom and advocating. So, I took care of everyone but myself. And, with CrossFit, again, there was a time where I was able to stay consistent, but then something else would happen in my life. And it's kind of like the all or nothing. Like if I'm not able to be consistent with one thing, well, what's the point of eating healthy? Just let go of everything, right? And then at one point, my endocrinologist, my thyroid doctor, this was September last year, she brought it up. She said, have you ever considered bariatric surgery? And I said, I've thought about it, I've heard of it, but I've always been scared, like kind of hearing people's stories of like complications after surgery. It wasn't even about, your brother's uncle's cousin's aunt person that regained all the weight. That wasn't like the reason why I didn't want it. It was more so just hearing people's complications and then, people thinking it's the easy way out when we all know it's not. But I had that stigma for myself where I was like, I don't want, like, I want to try my hardest. Another thing was my own mom would say, well, you're so fat. There's no way you're ever going to lose it unless you get surgery. So I was kind of like, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to get surgery. I'm going to do this on my own. Yeah. And that was like my own inner battle that I had to let that go because it's not about me getting back at my mom. It's about my health. So that was a pill that I just had to swallow. But so, my doctor had made the recommendation. So I went to see the surgeon that's associated. I work in a hospital. So if I go to any providers that are associated with the hospital, then I don't have a copay. So, I just went to the one that was associated with the hospital because the free is for me. And I met her and I went into it thinking like, okay, this is just a consult. Like, I'm just going to hear it out. I wasn't really thinking like, oh, I'm going to actually do this. I met her. She was lovely. She talked about, either doing the sleeve or the bypass. And, I was like, from the research that I've done, like I would rather do the sleeve. And she felt like the sleeve would be a good fit for me. So then I was like, I guess I'm doing this. So I had to see her 4 times. It had to be at least 30 days within each consult. So I started in September. So by the end of December, I had done the whole process. So I had to see a psychologist for clearance. I had to get a letter, from my PCP. You guys know the whole drill. I did the whole thing. And then in January, they submitted everything to insurance. It was approved. They scheduled my surgery for March. So March 25th comes. I had my surgery. Everything went well. But then about a week after surgery, shit hit the fan. I started to throw up. And, as a woman, my whole life, like just some months, I just have really bad periods where I end up throwing up. And coincidentally, I had gotten my period that week. So when I went for my 1 week, forget if it was, I think it was like the 1 week follow-up with my surgeon, I told her what was happening. And she said, well, since this is something that can happen to you historically, like, let's just wait it out. Maybe it is caused by that. Let's not get too worried about it. But it just kept getting worse and worse. So then I called the office back, and they were trying to see, like, if I could avoid certain foods. They had me do, I forget the name of it. It's like kind of like the swallow study where you have to drink the liquid and it's like an x-ray. I forgot the actual term for it, but they check to see if there's like a rupture in your sleeve or anything wrong with your sleeve. So I did the test, like it showed that there was no issue with the sleeve, but it showed that I had like severe acid reflux, and I had never had acid reflux in my life. So she had me, at this point, it's already like 3 weeks after surgery. And she had me like kind of change certain things I was eating, and nothing, it was just getting worse, progressively worse. At one point I was throwing up like 6-7 times a day. And my body was just depleting itself. I literally couldn't eat or drink anything. Like even if I drank water, I knew like within seconds I was going to throw it up. I would wake up in the morning and I was just so anxious, like when am I, because it wasn't like an if but a when am I going to throw up? And it was just like it would just be bile because I literally had nothing in my stomach. So not only is it uncomfortable throw up, but you have these stitches that are fresh. So my abdominal area hurt, and I'm like, great, now are my stitches gonna like rupture because I'm like literally violently throwing up. It was so bad, like my throat hurt so much that I would like throw up blood, and it wasn't like, it was fresh blood, so it was like cuts within my throat. Because my body was just like so tired of it. So eventually I ended up in the hospital. I was there for 3 days. They just discharged me out of nowhere. It was like 6 p.m. on a Sunday, and the nurse is like, "Oh, you're good to go." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm good to go?" And she was like, "Oh, the doctor doesn't think you need to be here anymore, so you can leave." And I was like, "You know what? I want to like wash my hair. I feel like shit. Let me just go home." But when I had gone to the hospital, I had really bad pain in my back and on my side. And when I had initially gone to my surgeon, I had that pain. I just thought it was period cramps, right?
Mhm.
So this was like all kind of brewing, and I didn't know what it was. When I went to the hospital, again, I was so dehydrated, I couldn't even pee. So I was like, do I have a UTI? Like, I don't know what's going on. In the ER, they thought I had a kidney infection because of like how bad my urine looked. But then when they sent it out, they said, no, it's not a kidney infection. And they're like, you have inflammation in your kidney, you have gallstones, like you have all these things going on. Maybe you just had a really, like you passed a kidney stone and that's where the pain came from. But I was on IV fluid, so by Sunday I felt better. I was like, okay, let me go home. Maybe I'll be better. And I was still throwing up in the hospital, but it was not as bad. And it was like because I was hydrated, it wasn't as terrible. I go home the next morning. I woke up with excruciating back pain. And again, working in a hospital, working in an ER, you never want to go to the ER. That's like the last place you want to go. But I called my husband. I was like, I was at my parents' house, and I was like, you need to take me to back to the hospital. Like, this is not good. Oh, you know what? I'm forgetting something. So actually, first, I went to an urgent care because, again, I didn't want to go to the ER. And I told them everything. They tested my urine again. And they're like, no, we do think you have a kidney infection. Here's some antibiotics. I tried to take the antibiotics. I would throw them up immediately. And I called the urgent care, and they're like, well, if you can't swallow the antibiotics, you have to go back to the urgent care because then you can't treat the infection. So I tell my husband, okay, take me back to the ER. I go to the ER. When I had gone initially Friday, it was like a 20-minute wait, which is unheard of. It was great, right?
Yeah.
But then on Monday everyone goes to the ER. I was there for 8 hours. 8 hours waiting to go in from 3 p.m. to like 11 p.m. in excruciating pain. And I kept going to the front desk. I would ask them for like a little hot pad and I would put on my back and I was just rubbing it in my back for the pain. Because again, I couldn't swallow anything. I even had dissolvable Tylenol packets that you just like put on your tongue. And even that I would throw up. So there was like no pain relief. So I'm sitting there in agonizing pain. And I just like kept pressing the heating pad into my back so much that it just became muscular pain. Like my back just hurt because I'm just pressing it in so much, just trying to get some pain relief. So finally, it's like after 11 p.m., they let me into the ER to, a chair. It's not even like a stretcher because, again, it's so packed. But they finally gave me pain medication and IV, and I was like, whatever, that's all I need right now. Like, I don't care if I sit on the floor. Like, please just, like, help me. And then it was like 8 a.m., and I hear the nurse tell the doc, he's like, oh, hey, doc, is she ready to go home? And I'm like, excuse me? I did not just wait 8 hours in pain in the ER, in the waiting room, for you to, like, have me here for 3 hours and discharge me, and you're still not figuring out what's wrong with me, because I was already here, and you guys already discharged me. I advocated for myself. I'm usually, like I always advocate for everyone but myself. I hate, like, confrontation, but in that situation, I was like, no. Like, I need to be a little bit of an asshole. I have to advocate for myself. I have to complain. Because when that nurse discharged me, I didn't complain enough, and now I'm stuck here when, I wouldn't have had to go through this whole ordeal. So then the doctor was like, okay, we'll keep you. And that only happened because I ended up throwing up again. So then they were like, okay, fine, we'll keep you. So the same doctor, the hospitalist that had admitted me, saw me, and he was like, I'm so sorry. The nurse made it seem like you were like 100% fine, and that's the only reason why I discharged you. Like, and I'm literally like, doc, I was in the bathroom throwing up as she's telling me that I'm discharged. And he's like, she never told me any of that. I was like, this is great. So that hospital is closer to home. It's not the hospital where I work or where I had my surgery. So their bariatric team went to go see me. And surgeons don't like to touch patients that belong to other surgeons. So they talked to me and they were like, well, we really want you to be treated by your bariatric team. So we're going to transfer you to your hospital. So I said, okay, that's fine. So I sat in the ER waiting all day. And going through this experience, I really understood like how frustrating it can be as a patient with like delay of care. So they swabbed me for COVID at 2 p.m. because since it's like a hospital transfer, they just want to make sure you don't have COVID. And it was maybe like 10, 11 p.m. when they transferred me from the regular ER to like the observation area. And again, at this point, I'm just being told I'm just waiting for transport. And the nurse was like, so what was the plan for you? What were they waiting for? And I was like, well, they did my COVID at 2. They said they were waiting for the results, and then they were waiting to set up transport. The nurse goes in the computer and she's like, there's no COVID test in there for you at all. And I was like, they literally swabbed me at 2 p.m. So they collected it. They never sent it to the lab, or it got lost somewhere. So they never ran it. So they never got orders from the doctor to set up transport because they didn't even have the COVID, and no one noticed that. So I'm like sitting there for 10, 11 hours waiting for that. And that didn't even happen until this nurse was like, hey, let me see what's going on with you. So eventually overnight, they transfer me over to the hospital where I work. And I see the team there, and my surgeon had brought up the possibility that I might need a revision to bypass. And I was heartbroken because I was like, I understand getting a revision like later down in the line, but it's been like a month since surgery.
Yeah.
Like, that is not kind of the news that I want to hear. But the problem was she didn't know when, if, or like what it would take for the throwing up to stop. But because of the because I had mentioned the gallstones, I said, well, how bad is it? Is there like a medication you can take? Like, what's the deal with that? And she was like, no, it doesn't look that bad right now. It's like not something that I'm concerned with, but your gallbladder could be like further causing you like nausea and throwing up. So that with the acid reflux, she explained, it was kind of like a snowball effect. Like at first it wasn't that bad, but then because I would throw up, I would wait until it was safe to like eat or drink something. But then that whole time, your stomach, the acids are just building up. So the minute that you eat or drink something, your stomach rejects it because of the acid. So she's like, that's why it literally like one thing kind of fed off the other, and it just like escalated. The other thing is because my body literally wasn't getting any nutrients, I actually ended up losing 70 pounds within those 2 months. Like between the pre-op diet, and at that time it had been like 2 months. So that was probably the reason why, I ended up with like all the gallstones. And the irony, I remember back when I had watched Dez's videos on YouTube, and like she had complications and she had to have her gallbladder removed. And I was like, I don't want that to happen to me. I was like, it's literally happening to me, like literally all those years. It's like, oh, I don't want to have all those complications. And now I'm in those shoes. But I had no choice but to keep moving forward, But during that time, I was super depressed. Like I was at home. I would get up to walk a few steps. I had no strength in my legs. I was just like isolating at home because I didn't want to go anywhere, do anything, because I didn't know when I was going to throw up. And that's when I realized, like, wow, like all the times that I've heard people say therapy, and working on your mental health on this journey is so important. I was like, shit, like people were not kidding, because even without complications, all the things that we go through, it's already such a mind fuck. But then when you add the complications, like I was literally hopeless, helpless. Like I was like, oh my God, I ruined my life. What if I never get better? I was trying to, improve my health, and now I'm sitting here throwing up every day. Like I can't even, at this point, it's like I was out of work for 5 weeks. I was supposed to go back to work the next week, and I'm like what's going to happen here? I can't drive to work and throw up on the way. I have like an hour commute each way. So while I was in the hospital, I'm not a religious person at all, but while I was in the hospital, because like on my account it says I'm Catholic, like pastoral care would come and visit me, and this one woman would like pray with me, and I was just like bawling, crying, because it's like I feel like you just have to like hang on to something when you're in that state of mind where you don't know like what's going to happen. Like no one can give you answers as far as like if you're ever going to get better. And it was tough. I was really grateful. I had a really sweet roommate. We kind of just like talked the entire time. So that really helped while being in the hospital. And there were times that I was just like sitting there crying, like, am I ever going to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Like, I just, and my whole life, I've never had issues with drawing blood. Like, I have good veins. But even then, like, my potassium was low. And those potassium pills are like horse pills, right?
Mhm.
And they say you're not supposed to cut them in half, but most of the nurses were nice enough and they like cut them in half for me. My potassium was so low that I needed to take 2 of them, so it's 4 pieces. So by the time, it took me like 2 hours. Because again, with that tiny stomach, it's like you take a sip of water and you're full, right? That whole pill was like the size of my stomach. So I would like take one, I would wait a while, I would take another one. By the time I finished it, I threw everything up. So I'm like, when am I gonna get better? Sorry guys, this is all coming back to me because
That's okay.
this happened in like April, May. But while I was in the hospital, they wanted to do an endoscopy on me to see if there was anything else going on that was causing all of that. But because my potassium was low, they didn't want to give me anesthesia, like because of like low potassium is not good for your heart. So they didn't want to do the endoscopy until I could get my potassium up. So every single day they're sticking me like multiple times a day, and I'm like, but I didn't even take the potassium yet. Why are you sticking me again? Like there's going to be no difference in my level. I like my arms, I have pictures of it. I had like black and blue bruises like throughout my whole arm. One of the phlebotomists, she like completely missed my vein. She used a needle that was way too long, like way too long. And it was just like I was in so much pain that I was like, I can't
Yeah.
fucking do this anymore. And it was tough. It was really tough. And then at one point, like I ended up never even doing the endoscopy. They also would give me potassium IV. Potassium IV is very painful, even at like the lowest speed, and they can't give you that much of it. And I was like, I wish you guys could just like shoot me up with the potassium. That'll make it a lot faster. And they were like, no, because that would kill you. I'm like, that's right. The lethal injection is made of potassium. I was like, I'm not suicidal, guys. Like, I promise you. I completely forgot about
Honest
that.
question.
Yeah. So, because that's how desperate I was. I was like, is there an easier way to do this? Because the pills are not going down. And this IV, like, no matter how much potassium IV you give me, like, they would run my blood and the level just kept going lower and lower.
Yeah.
So at one point, the doctor was like, well, we could just, take your gallbladder out and kind of rule it out. And I was like, Doc, at this point, you could take out whatever organs you want. If you think that that is going to solve this problem, I'm fine with it. As long as it doesn't kill me, like, whatever you want to do. So I left the hospital after like a week and a half. Like I was, finally like all my labs, except for the potassium, were normal. At that point, the doctor was like, I'm not really that worried about your potassium. Like, whatever, like you can go home. They scheduled my gallbladder removal for May 17th, and my VSG was March 25th, so it wasn't even 2 months after. So they removed my gallbladder. But 2 days before they removed my gallbladder, they had me do an outpatient infusion. So they basically have you hooked up to an IV bag of like, they call it a banana bag. It's like a ton of different vitamins. And you're sitting there for like an hour getting it. Literally since the day that I got that vitamin bag, I never threw up again, like even before removing my gallbladder. Um, and the doc is like, maybe it just like hydrated you so much that it kind of helped neutralize the acid that you were finally able to eat something. And then with removing the gallbladder, like, she said by the time they took the gallbladder out and sent it out for it to get tested, it actually came up with having inflammation. So she's like, it was just a matter of time, like you were going to have a gallbladder attack. It just, when they initially did the scan, like it was okay, but because of like not getting any nutrients, I was just losing weight. like it was just making like me have even more gallstones. Like it was just making everything worse. So since that day, I haven't thrown up ever again, and I am so thankful for that. But it was fucking tough. I I really felt like I was never gonna make it out of that situation. And prior to surgery, like I had like stumbled upon our Sleeve Life podcast, so I was kind of just like binging all their episodes and listen. And even though I love listening to them so much, while I was down in the dumps, I didn't even like listen to their show. Like I just did nothing. I just kind of sat there. I was like trying to Google, like, find people that had like a similar situation to see what worked for them. And everyone that I talked to and DM'd online was like, "Oh, I've heard of people with that, but never so soon after surgery." So I was like, "Great, I'm the one person that this happens to." Um, but I'm just really, really thankful to be where I am now. And I had the worst buyer's remorse in the beginning, but now, even knowing everything that I went through, I would do it all over again, to get to where I am now. Absolutely.
Wow. And so you had your gallbladder taken out, but did you have to do a revision, or that was what helped and then you didn't
No,
have to do a revision?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So she was like, let's try the gallbladder before we like do anything else.
Mhm.
So between that IV banana bag that I got and them taking out the gallbladder, it solved all my issues. Yeah, it's like,
Oh,
it's wild.
You are definitely not the only one that's been through this. I have personally have gone through the gallbladder issues. I didn't have to have it removed, but I was in the hospital back in March for the same thing, and I reached out
That's
to,
rough.
or actually, Aaron reached out to me. Got to do this. Got to do this for me. I got it. I can see it, but I can't.
you got it. Yeah,
Gotta
got to
do-
do this for me.
Gotta
R
do
and
this
Y.
for me.
Mhm.
RNY. There it is. Okay, I knew that I was missing a part. She had the same thing happen to her as well, and so she helped me get through it. And it sucks. It's really, really bad. And ERs are the worst.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
ERs are.
Mhm.
I've worked in an ER
I
for the
know.
past couple of years, and it's tough. They don't understand bariatric surgery. They
Mhm.
don't really understand the different types of bariatric surgery. And I would have bariatric patients come in, and and even as a patient, the doctor tried to give me aspirin, and I couldn't have aspirin, and I had to explain it to him, like, I can't have aspirin. And he tried giving me,
Right.
and it's crazy. It's hard, going into that. But I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're pushing
Thank you.
through. You're making it. You're doing it. You're doing the damn thing, and keep going. And there's complications to bariatric surgery, but like, you took a risk, and
Mhm.
you had some complications, yeah, but it pays off. And the buyer's remorse, I feel that for sure. So you're definitely not alone in any of this. Like, your story, it is very powerful, and I'm glad you're here to share it. And I'm disappointed that you were listening to another podcast and not the waiting.
I know.
No.
It took me a while to find you guys.
I didn't listen to any part of your story except that one part where you did. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. We love the girls. No, that's yeah. I can't believe this all happened this year. Like, as
Yeah.
you were talking about
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was helpful for you to say, like, you just had your surgery in March and then this happened April, May, like, and so
Yeah.
how long has it been since you haven't had issues now? How many months has it been?
So my gallbladder removal was May 17th. May
Okay.
15th I had an infusion. So May 15th was the last day that I ever threw up.
Okay.
And I have like all those dates in my head because they were very
Yeah.
significant to me.
Yeah. So how has it been from that time to now, several months? Like, how are you doing with all that? Because that's a really unusual and rocky start to things. Like, and so,
Yeah.
like, how are you doing from all of that?
I'm definitely doing a lot better. And I hate to say it, but sometimes like everything does happen for a reason. I feel like mentally I wasn't where I should have been in the beginning of surgery. Like that first week my mom had bought my parents are I'm Portuguese, so my mom had bought these like Portuguese custard cups, and she's like, "Oh, you're on the puree stage. You can like have a little spoonful of this." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll like take a bite." And I'm like, looking back, I was like, "What the fuck was I doing? Like that's literally just sugar. Like why did I let her like even give that to me? You know?" So it's kind of like I felt like as much as it sucked, I felt like I really needed to go through such a tough time because every choice that I make, I really think about it because I'm like, I don't want all the suffering I went through to be for nothing. Because it was not fun. Like I think back to getting pricked in the arm like twice a day because of the stupid potassium, and like not and the whole thing. I'm just like, I can't. I have to be smart about this. And it's all about balance, right? But when you're a few weeks post-op, like you have to abide by the law of your surgeon. You can't pick and choose what you want to follow, what you don't want to follow. So I feel like the reason why I've done so well since then was one of the biggest things was like everything that I did go through and getting through it. I'm like, I have to like remind myself, like, you didn't go through that for nothing. And just, so the cool thing was Bariatric Society had an event in New Jersey 2 days before my surgery. And I was like, well, that's a sign. Like, I definitely have to go. I don't know anyone, but then I will meet people and, that might be helpful. So that was super helpful. Like, there were people that were, DMing me on Instagram, like checking in on me, like, hey, how are things going? So I would ask them, like, hey, do you know anyone that's been through this? Like, this is not a good situation. So that was also very helpful. Just like, having the bariatric community as a support, and just having people to relate to because I had friends and coworkers in my life that had had surgery, but none of them had gone through complications. So one of my friends was like, "Oh, I feel bad that I made it seem like it's like so great after and like you went through this." I'm like, well, there's no way you could know, right? There's
Yeah.
always there's always a percentage, there's always a chance that something's not going to go right. And I was one of the unlucky ones, but it has to happen. It has to happen.
Yeah. And I just want to call out there's been some really great
Yeah.
discussion going on in the chat. And Shannon has been just sending so much love. And if you guys don't know her, Dr. Shannon, is her full name? I always call her Shannon Mack, but is her full name McMahon? I think last name. Sorry, Shannon, if I didn't get that right, but go follow her. She's an amazing person, bariatric patient, but she's also a doctor too. And one of the things she shared in the comments was that unfortunately, most doctors don't know how to troubleshoot us bariatric patients. And I think that's one of the many reasons why your story is so helpful for people, because I know that it's easy to go into situations. So many people who have obesity as a disease have been discounted and, and there's a lot of things that get overlooked. There's definitely weight bias that's present. And you do have to advocate for yourself. And so I know it's easy to kind of be in situations where you think, oh, like what you were saying, kind of like, well, if the doctor sends me home, like I'm probably fine then.
Yeah.
But I just would
Right.
encourage you guys to like listen to your gut, pun intended a little bit on that one, but listen to your gut. And if you know something isn't right, like you have to speak up about it or it's not going to get resolved. And it's scary and it's hard to do that. It's unfortunate and not fair that people who, have the disease of obesity have to do that more than others. But I just, yeah, I feel like your story is so helpful to show people how to do that. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I think it really is so important to like find people in the community to connect to, because those are going to be your biggest support
Yeah.
systems. Like, sure, your friends and family, like they can support you, but if they haven't been through surgery themselves, like it's different. Like, again, my mom, like, I know she wants the best for me, but she's like giving me Portuguese egg tarts. Like, no, like you shouldn't be doing that, but that's why it is so important, like, to make these connections and to have the support, because again, mental health, like this is a tough journey. Like, even if you have no complications, just every time you take a bite, like mentally, like sometimes the battle where it's like you want to have that extra bite, but you already feel full because you're just so used to like clearing your plate or, all those things where it's like you have to learn all of those bad habits, create new, better habits. Um, Man, there was like something that popped up into my head and then it left, and now I can't remember what I was going
That
to say.
happens to us all the time. You can, as it comes up, you'll remember and
Mhm.
you can jump
Yeah.
back in. Yeah.
Also, if your mom does, obviously parents are just trying to help oftentimes, right? And I know with me, with immigrant parents, like that was very much their language of love, is sort of like, yeah, we're gonna feed you and feed you and feed you.
Yeah.
If you aren't able to do that because of where you are in your journey, it's also okay to say no, right? And I think we all
Yeah.
struggle with that. And if you also need, you can give her my address if she'd like to send those Portuguese tarts over.
Have a surrogate,
got
a
you.
new adopted
Yeah.
child.
For sure. I do have a question though, because obviously, what you went through in such a short period of time was enough to break lots and lots and lots of people, I think, whether they had bariatric surgery or not. Did you have specific things that really helped you pull through everything and keep looking at it from the perspective that you did, which is, and obviously even with you telling the story, there were times where you were just like, I've had it, do this, or I've had it do this. But like, I think the overwhelming feeling overall was you were advocating for yourself, and you were confident that you knew your body and you knew what was right and what wasn't right, and what was right and what wasn't right for you in terms of patient care. So is there certain things that really stuck out to you to help you pull through all that, speaking from that mental health standpoint?
I mean, a lot of, one thing, like kind of like my own mantra is this too shall pass. So, especially with everything that, my family went through with my dad's own mental health struggles, that was a lot. So, my whole life, I always tell people, I'm like, I always have like funny bad luck, like the things that you would never think would happen to someone end up happening to me, and some things aren't funny, right? But it's like I've been through so many things that have made me pretty resilient. So even when I am in those stages where I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm like, I know it's gonna be there eventually. And there are moments where again, you're just like, shit, like, am I gonna be stuck in this miserable place forever? And I remind myself, like, no, because that's like literally where the mindset was for my dad. Like, he thought, you know, my mental health is not good. I'm gonna be hospitalized, and then I'm gonna cost my family like our whole life savings, like, because healthcare in America sucks. So that was like his mindset in that depressed phase where he was like, the solution to help my family is to end my life so they don't end up with these medical bills, right? And again, my dad thought he was doing what was best for his family in his poor state of mind, right? So I remember when he was in the hospital, like, I told him, you've already hit rock bottom. There's only coming up from here. Like, you're already down the dumps. You're here at this really shitty psychiatric hospital. I'm not going to disclose the name, but we call it Trinitrat. If anyone's from New Jersey, they'll know where that is. So I'm like, I didn't say all of that to him, obviously. I said that in my head. But I'm like, you've already hit rock bottom. So the only option is to move up from here. And that's kind of like the way that I live my life, where no matter what is happening, you're going to eventually get out of it. At the moment, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like your life is over. Like, there is no hope. There is no way out of this. Because hindsight is always 2020, right? It's always once we're out of that situation where we can reflect back and see, wow, okay, I wasn't stuck in that situation forever. I was able to pull myself out of it. But when you're down in the dumps, like, it doesn't work that way. And I'll be honest, I had some really awesome friends that reached out to me. I had some friends that, like, because I was staying at my parents' house, so my car was at my house with my husband. So I didn't have a car to like get around. So I would have friends that would come pick me up from my house, and I would like hang out with them, and I would just be like, heads up, while I'm with you, I might end up throwing up, but we can hang out. So I would have those moments where at least I was socializing and distracting myself from my thoughts. So that was a huge help, just like being with people, because when I was just like in my room isolating, like I didn't want to do anything because I just felt so shitty because I just like didn't want to, because that's how it is when you're depressed. Like you don't want to do anything. Um, but even when you're in those dark moments, like you still have to find a way to pull yourself out of it. So like I would, talk to people. I would talk to my husband. I would like try to find, even like funny videos online to like try to distract myself. Because at one point I just like didn't want anything to do with anything bariatric. I wasn't looking up anything because I was just like, I'm like so over this whole situation, right? Um, and there were a lot of times that I would just like open up my notes app on my phone and I would just like jot down, kind of like journaling, like,
Sure.
but just typing out like how I was feeling, like what was going on in my head. Because I feel like when you write down your thoughts and feelings, like it kind of helps like alleviate how you're feeling in that moment. Um, I used to love journaling. But again, being the daughter of immigrant parents, like my mom was always super nosy and she would always end up finding anything that I wrote down. So like I'm like I don't want that to be read by anyone else. So I would just like write stuff on my phone in that way. It's like my own personal diary basically. But that helped me a lot too, just kind of like writing down like what I was feeling, what I was thinking. And I was constantly reminding myself, like, this too shall pass. Like, I don't know when it's going to pass. I don't know what it's going to take, but at some point there will be a solution. I just couldn't think that way every day. Like, there were days that I just like mentally was like, this shit sucks. And
A lot.
like, I don't see a way out of it,
Yeah. Well, looking into 2025, I can't believe it. Like we're in December, right?
I
Going
know.
into 2025. What are your dreams? What are you looking forward to? What are you hopeful for in the new year? Because this year we're just going to chalk it up to like not a great year in a lot of ways, right? Like there's just a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
shitty things that happen. And I think good things that will lead to better things in the future. But man, just a lot of stuff to kind of get through.
Yeah,
So what are you
yeah.
looking forward to in 2025?
Well, it's funny that you asked me that because so I actually signed up to do the Radical Body Transformation show in Toronto.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have a lot of questions for Rob. But yeah, so I just always like to have something to look forward to. Like right now I'm in Guatemala, um, last month I went to the bariatric retreat. The week before that I was in Mexico for 2 weeks, and then in beginning of September I went to Ireland. So I've had like a lot of things planned out to look forward to. So even though I had those shitty 2 months and between the end of March and May, like it's like out of sight, out of mind. So I don't think of it as a bad year, because to see like everything I've accomplished since
Good for you.
then, like I feel amazing. Like I've lost a total of 120 pounds. Like never in my life did I ever think that I could have ever lost the weight and kept it off. Like to lose this much is like, it's mind blowing. Like I don't recognize myself. The body dysmorphia is like insane. Um, and when I look at videos of myself before, I'm like, wait, did I look like that? I don't remember looking like that. Like when you look in the mirror, like someone's like, oh, I look good today. And then I'm looking at those same like videos and pictures like that, like sometimes like those candid pictures that other people take
Yeah.
of you. And I was just like, man, like even back then I would see those pictures and I would never post them. And I regret, like, there are so many things that I deleted and now I'm like, I wish I had. Um, but looking at it now and then I'm like, this is crazy. Like I don't recognize myself then, and I don't recognize myself now either. It's like so mind blowing.
Yeah. It's an interesting transition point where you are. And I remember when Shea was sort of going through that, as she passed her first and first year and was going into that part where it was very much like, all right, you've had time to adjust. You've had a year to sort of see what life is like. This is when it's sort of, for some people, they feel like this is when it gets hard, and not necessarily because it's harder to lose weight, which it can be, but it's because now you are settling into the idea that, is this who I am? Or, as you were mentioning, am I sort of mourning who I was before? Like, who are you? And
Right.
trying to fit into that spot. And I think a lot of us on the show, we've gone through a lot of exploring to try to find out who that is. And I love the fact that you are very goal oriented, because I think that's going to be a big part of finding out who you are through these challenges and through persevering through this. And I will tell you this, especially with the Radical Body Transformation Show, you are going to learn a shitload about yourself and what you can achieve and how you can control that relationship you have with food that's always controlled you. And it's super exciting. And that's why I'm always so excited to talk to people about it, because of all the things that they get separate from the physical part. Right. So yeah, I'm super excited for you. Congratulations on that step.
Thank you.
I think
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
like to
times
constantly challenge myself. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's good. And, you know, I think a lot of times in the community, we say that the first year is a gift. You know, your year is a gift. Is a gift because
Yeah.
you've learned and grown so much.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're going to be able to take everything that you've accomplished in that year. You've been through so much. You're setting yourself up for more success in the coming year. I think year 2 is going to be your year. You're gonna do great things. You know, and
Thank you. I'm
you
excited.
everything happens for a reason, like you said, and I always say that too. You know, everything happens for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but looking ahead, if year 1 is the gift, you know, take all that and just make the most of it, and it's going to make you stronger. That's going to make you better, and you're gonna persevere through all that stuff, and you already are. I mean, you're doing great.
Yeah,
and you're
you.
here. You're here with us, and you know, and I know going through mental health stuff, through traumatic things. You know, I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't gone through that hard stuff. You know,
100%.
and that's what pushes us through. That's what drives us. That's what keeps us motivated. That's what keeps us going. And look back at those old pictures and those old videos. That's, you know, that has been such a big help for me, is going back and you know, I look at those videos and I think, oh wow, yeah, it could be worse. You know, like I could be that guy, you know, that nobody liked, that I didn't even like myself, you know. It could be worse. But you're here and you're doing great. So first year is a gift. And yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, just to throw in there, is just, if you are really, and this is sort of my point of view, I think, you know, we always say the first year is a gift physically, yes. I also just feel like the first year is a gift in regards to perspective, right? You are going through a crap load of changes in this first year, and it allows you to change the lens that you look at your life and the world through, right? I'm finally able to look at the world through the eyes of someone who is healthy, or is not morbidly obese, or is not bound by a wheelchair or a cane, right? And so you going into that second year, you can look at the challenges that you've had and look through the lens of, I've made it through all this shit. I haven't, you said it, and you said it a couple of times, and you had so much pride in your voice, and you're like, I have not thrown up since May 1st, right? Like, from the point of view that you've survived all this stuff, and how strong that makes you, to know that all of us who had bariatric surgery and all the shit that we had to live through emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, and we're here, just like Murph said, we're here making the most out of our lives, continuously fighting for us. That's a super powerful thing, right? And I think, you know, when you verbalize that and you really hear the fact that, holy shit, I really did do a lot, and I am doing a ton of other stuff for myself, I think it's super powerful.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, I mean, we're all a bunch of badasses.
Power.
Yes.
Oh, I know already, but you know, I just want other people to also know that they're badasses.
Well, and speaking of that, I did see Shannon said that you're going to be her roomie for the Just Be You bariatric.
Yes, I
You're going to
am.
be there. Rob
Come
and I
over
will
Well,
to
you
the
already
roof
know.
party.
I had to get involved, so I'm going to be volunteering, so I will be there.
Oh, Hey, yes, that's right. Yes. And though I will say nominations for
Mhm.
the Just Be Bariatric Awards are still open. And
Yeah.
like this whole night, as you kept talking, and I was thinking like bariatric warrior, like, and there's actually a category for that. And so if you guys, heard Anna's story, we're getting so many comments that are coming in of just saying how much they appreciate you sharing your story and how, it's going to be so helpful for so many people. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you go nominate. I'm just throwing Anna's name in the hat there. I think, like I said, Bariatric Warrior, I think would be such a good fit.
Or newcomer, just saying.
Oh, I know. I saw that on your story. That goes too.
Yeah.
That works too.
I don't know that. I mean, like, yes, you're a newcomer, but man, I feel like you've had like many years of
Yeah,
experiences
you've had
within
some.
1 year. So I feel like you're a
Yeah.
new beginner vet though at this point.
Yeah. It's just, it's like when you've already been through so much, you just kind of like, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like,
Underplay it.
always. Yeah. I
Yeah.
always do that to myself.
Oh, we always do, for sure.
Yeah.
Dr. Shan Max says Anna should be our primary vote. You've had a lot of support. Like I've been looking
Yeah.
over here a lot. I've been looking at all the different monitors because you've had so many different comments come up, which is absolutely amazing. I'm glad you will be at JBY's. I'm glad you will have a really cool roommate. You guys can come to our roof party.
Yeah.
That we're throwing.
Ooh.
Yeah, we do it every year,
Every year. It's been 1 year.
Every
but
year.
did
We
it
just
that
do
year. So
rooftop parties.
yeah. No, it's gonna be such a fun time. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're excited to see you there for sure.
Yeah. Well, tell people.
And like,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to have the surgery to begin with is because there's been so many times in my life where, like, so my husband is a big traveler, so then he made me become a traveler as well. And there's been so many times where we've gone to places and there were activities I couldn't do because of my weight. Like one time we went to Montreal and there's this cool zip line thing. I couldn't do that because of my weight. We went to Aruba in 2020. I couldn't ride the horse because they're smaller because of my weight. Last year I was in Egypt. We went to the desert and they were doing this like cool sandboarding and like it was like an intense walk up the hill and I was like, I'm not even gonna bother because I'm clumsy, so I'm gonna take forever to get up there. I'm gonna immediately fall off the board on my face and we're with other people and I'm like, I don't want to like embarrass myself. And I've been looking back at videos like making space on my phone and I'm like, wow, like it sucks that there were all those things that I wasn't able to do. But now I am. So just 2 days ago, I hiked up a volcano here in Guatemala.
Right.
And at my highest weight, like with the elevation, I was already out of breath at one point. And, after losing this much weight. So I'm like 306-pound me. I would have, when I like, well, I at one point like felt because it's like such a steep decline and I like just like fell on my butt. And eventually I was able to get myself back up. But I'm like 306-pound me. When I got up, I would just roll down the volcano. Like there's like no way, like with my balance and stuff. So it's like it's just amazing to feel like myself again. Like I wasn't obese my whole life. So like I do know what it feels like to not be obese, but I forgot what that felt like, like taking that 120 pounds off of me. Like I've been CrossFitting for 4 years and it was such a struggle to like jump on the box. And just like a couple of weeks ago, I was jumping on the 20 inch box and I was like, wow, I'm actually jumping on this when before I would like jump and like just topple over it because I couldn't lift like my feet up high enough. It's like the mobility is like insane. But on the other side, again, because I lost so much weight so rapidly because of the complications, I lost a ton of muscle. So that was also like a slap in the face going back to CrossFit. And what would have been a warm up was like my max weight. I was like, oh, like I never thought I would have been so weak, but I couldn't work out for almost 5 months because then I had 2 surgeries. So that was also like mentally that was like fucking with me because I'm like, I can't even like do what I did before. But then I'm like, I have to remind myself, like, my body went through a lot. And with time, I'll build the muscle back and it's a process. You just have to go through the process.
For sure. hey, you're working at it and you're getting there, right? And so that's the important thing. I do have one last question. For me, if you guys have other questions, you guys can obviously ask questions. If you were to share sort of a tidbit of knowledge or a piece of advice for anyone else who's struggling with their mental health right now, going through some things, and really just to help keep things in perspective or guidance for them, what would that be? That's a very general question, I know, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one answer would be find a therapist, right? Because
Yeah.
that is one outlet that's very helpful. As a therapist, I've gone to therapy myself, so I know, like, I can't be a hypocrite, right? Like, I have to practice what I preach. So I would say if you're able to find a therapist, that would be something that would be very helpful. If you don't have access to a therapist, can't afford it, whatever the case may be, find your tribe, find people in your life that you can vent to, that you can talk to, that they're not going to like judge you for what you're telling them. Like people that you can talk to that can kind of help reassure you. Because sometimes it's like you just need to get things off of your chest. And when you actually hear those things out loud, it can help you reframe your perspective. If you don't have people in your life that you can talk to, again, journaling, like writing your thoughts down, trying to process like what you're feeling, what you're going through. Um, Finding something that you find pleasure in, whether it's taking a walk outside for your mental health. If you enjoy the beach, even if it's cold where you live, you can drive down to the beach. You can literally watch the ocean from your car, depending on what state or country, wherever you live in. But like find things that bring you joy, and keep those in mind so that when you are going through tough times, you have that resource, like, what are those things that you can do to help you during those tough times?
Or you can be
And
like me.
find
And
things,
I was just going to say,
sorry,
I
and
have, you go.
find things that bring you joy that aren't food, right? Because a lot of us, that is how we coped, right? So that was a big thing for me too. So, now I remember what I was going to say before. So when I finally went back to work, I was actually out of work for 3 months with all of that stuff, right? So the first day that I went back to work, of course, ER was nuts. So I work for a crisis in an ER as a therapist. So I do the psych evals for any patient that comes in for a psychiatric complaint. And of course, work was like nuts my first day coming back. And when I was driving home, there's always like a Dunkin' Donuts that I drive past to get onto the highway. And as I was driving by, like my brain was like you need a donut. And I was like, oh my God. Like for these past 3 months that I've been at home, I haven't had any cravings. But the minute that I go back to work and have a stressful day and I'm again driving past this trigger point, because I would do that all the time after work, be like, wow, like work sucked today. And I would go and buy like 2 Boston cream donuts and just down it on the way to CrossFit after work, right? So I was like, oh shit, like this is again the mental battle that people talk about with surgery. Like you really do have to find better coping skills, or else with time you can go down that slippery slope, right? Because we all know with slider foods, you can slide them right in there.
100%.
So that was something that mentally I had to recognize, like, oh, this is like a trigger. So I found like low sugar or like no sugar treats, and like protein snacks, and I always have them in my car. So when I leave work and if I have a shitty day and I'm like I need something, I have like the little Lily's like no chocolate peanut butter cup, or I have like this the legendary brand like protein pop tart. So it's like I have something. So if mentally I'm like, oh my God, I need something, I have a healthy choice and I'm not, so it's like I had to actively like recognize like, oh, this is going to be a problem if I don't find a solution. So that's just another piece of advice.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Sorry, Shay, you can say what you're going to say.
Oh no, I was just gonna add, I like literally have to write them down, like write different coping strategies down on a sticky note, and I have it on my computer right here where it's like, because when you're in that moment, it's difficult
Mhm.
to remember what things that you enjoy. And so having those listed down, it sounds kind of silly, but it's like that's something that's really helpful is like just writing it down so you have options to choose from.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I do want to share one thing. Dr. Shan Max says learn positive self-talk and focus on that. And
Mhm.
I personally, that's one that I really did focus on a lot. I believe that there's so much more power in words, and when it's your own words, and you are not used to hearing your own words say these things, it's something different, right? And I found that it was very, very powerful, and I started believing it. And that changed the way I looked at things, to hear myself telling myself that I am good enough, that I'm a good father, that I am worth all the effort, all of these different things. And, you believe that. So I thought that was really good.
Absolutely.
Anna, where can everyone find you? Where can everyone follow you? Other than Guatemala currently, or Mexico, or wherever else you will be jet setting.
Somewhere around the globe.
Sure.
But yes. So on Instagram, I am banana split underscore getting fit. There's no G in getting. It's just getting fit.
Getting.
So my I had the same handle for TikTok, but actually I just switched that when I'm gonna make a new one with the same handle on TikTok. I just didn't create it yet, but I will be back on TikTok soon. And yeah, I think that's all the social media I have. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we actually kept you 16 minutes past what we suggested, and you're in Guatemala, where it's very nice and it's not snowing outside like it is where I am right now. So I just want to say thank you very much for joining us. It was a great show, and I think mental health is always something that a lot of us struggle with during our journey, as well as outside of our journey. And I think talking about the different strategies and even hearing your journey really is very helpful for a lot of us. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
I also just want to say, Murph, thank you so much for coming today. It was great seeing you again. We missed you. We love you very, very much. And we're glad that you were able to jump on today.
Miss you guys too.
Oh, it was great seeing you. I missed this because I can't grow anything.
Boy.
Oh yeah, you helped fill our facial hair quota
100%.
because Shay's not pulling her weight.
I gotta pull out all the weight for all.
Yeah.
All three.
Yeah, I'm Asian. I also don't pull my weight.
Mhm.
Shay, you want to tell everyone what is going on for next week?
Yeah. So next week we have Brenda from ProCare joining us, but she's not going to be. Well, I mean, we might talk a little bit about ProCare, but she has some really awesome classes that are coming up in the new year, some that are in person, some that are virtual. I signed up for her virtual ones, and she's going to be talking about those a bit. And we always just love talking with Brenda. So it's going to be a really fun show. And that'll be our last show of the year. I cannot believe it, because we're going to take the last couple weeks of the year just to spend time with our families and relax and have a little break. And then we will be hitting it back in 2025, and can't believe it. So next week will be our last show of the year.
Finally. Oh my God. I mean, sorry, I thought I was in here. My apologies. No, it's been a great year. So thank you guys very much for being a part of it. And thank everyone here for joining us on another episode of the Waiting Table Podcast, where we're serving the weight loss community
1 pound at a time.
Yes, it is back. Every time Shay tries to do it, she messes it up.
I know, every time.
1 pound at a time?
No, I always say
What did she
3.
say?
I say 3 pounds.
3
3 pounds at a time.
Yeah, and
Like,
it
you're
doesn't
setting
have
high
the same.
standards.
I know,
Three-
it doesn't.
3 pounds. Holy
In the beginning, I don't
One,
know.
Shay. It's
One.
just 1 pound.
One.
Just 1 pound at a time.
That's why we need you, Murph. I don't know
It's
these
like
things.
this.
Just like that. You can't be like 3 pounds at a time. That doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It's
Doesn't
weird.
work.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye, guys.